Alright everyone, I talked about Tommy Robinson the other day in the live stream, episode 3 of the Styx show, but we've got to talk about it again in more depth. But number one, he has not apparently yet been sentenced. Somebody had said he'd already been sentenced. I think they were confusing that with a potential sentence, which is he could get like something like 2 years in jail or an unlimited fine. They're going to throw the book at him, probably. They're not going to give Tommy Robinson, of all people, a slap on the wrist because they don't want the leftists to get up in arms, number one. And they've already bullied him around for a year, number two. And they're going to keep doing it because, you know, they are crazy. They're suicidal. Here's what I would say. A lot of people right now are bickering over, wow, does it fit the definition of contempt and all this stupid minutia? Just take a step back. As an American looking from across the pond, I'm looking at the law itself that he supposedly broke, and that's debatable in and of itself. And I'm saying, okay, so he supposedly broke reporting restrictions by recording people that were going into a court. I'm thinking about the US, and I'm saying they do that all the time. It was on fucking TV or on someone's iPhone. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly legal. I'm thinking you live in a country, if you're in the UK, where a judge can unilaterally decide to muzzle the press from even talking about a trial. Initially, they did that about Tommy Robinson being put in prison. For the first couple of days, there were no British commentators talking about it because of a court order from one of your moron judges over there, one of the spastic judges that are on your rainy island. And so a bunch of Americans like myself had to talk about it, and people in Britain half the time didn't even dare to comment on the fucking videos for the first fucking 48 hours. So that alone, it's weird. It's a weird concept to someone in a free country looking at non-free countries where reporting can be restricted in that manner. Meanwhile, all of the weirdos and creepazoids keep trying to pretend that the UK somehow has a better press than the US. No, it's not. Over here, a judge can't say the press can't report on something. People can't talk about this as an issue publicly because it might endanger trial. The idea that Tommy Robinson doing a Facebook live stream outside of the court venue somehow endangers the ability to put away a bunch of child traffickers is totally wrong. Only in an ass-backwards system could that endanger the fairness of a trial. Meanwhile, Tommy Robinson, for merely recording outside of it with and without commentary, gets thrown in jail for up to 2 fucking goddamn years just for whipping out an iPhone? That's an ass-backwards system. It's the opposite of what should happen. It shouldn't be seen as endangering the trial at all. Who cares if you know who the identity of the alleged criminals there were? What does that have to do with putting them on trial? Oh my God, well, their image is publicly broadcast. They can't get a fair trial now. The jury's going to see him anyway. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. And here's a simple solution, but they're never going to use it because simple solutions don't come easily to certain European governments. Here's a simple solution. We don't want these people to be recorded. Okay then, cordon off a wider area instead of just the sidewalk in front of the fucking court so nobody can record it. If you're really that crazy, if you're really that anal about it, if you're really that spastic about the whole issue, why didn't you cordon off the whole block? You drive them in, or better yet, here's a novel idea. Why don't you have a docking area so that they can get out of the vehicles in an interior area that's guarded that has nobody else in it to record? Why don't you do that? You know, they do have stuff like that. Some of the courts here, there are like little mini parking garages. You know, the cop cars go in. The person can get in or out, there, and it's like higher security. Why don't you do that? And when you're putting people on trial for anything significant that, you'd have a reporting restriction on, you do that. Instead of trying to go after Tommy Robinson. You know what it's really about? It's politics. It's pure politics, and the UK doesn't like Tommy Robinson because he's a Brexiteer, and he's nationalistic, and he doesn't like open borders. And that's really what it's about. They've been looking for any excuse to fuck him over. They've tried intimidating him and his family. They don't have a problem with crazy left-wing gangs harassing and stalking and even physically assaulting him and those around him, his supporters. And then if I look at the British media, like if I look at BBC and stuff, like today or throughout time, Tommy Robinson supporters get violent. The ruffian Tommy Robinson supporters get angry at their Fuhrer getting thrown in potentially in jail. It's like, yes, no, people don't get angry at all when fundamentally you have rules and stringencies in the UK basically preventing any possibility of a free press even existing, because it can be muzzled unilaterally by any fucking judge in the land. I suppose only overturned by an older, more pompous judge or something. I'm sure there's no reason for them to be upset at all over the fact that he's been kangaroo courted a second time. Because they threw him in jail before, and then they let him out. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to reconsider this. And then they're like, oh, no, yeah, he's really guilty. Yeah, maybe we'll put him in jail. They'll probably just slap him with $1 million fine or something. Or sorry, £1 million fine. Crazy currency. My goodness. You got to be nuts. Now, I was sparring with Tommy Robinson critics in the first place. You know, the first time he got put in prison for recording outside his fucking trial. And they were like, well, he verifiably broke the conditions of his parole. That's not even part of this. It's not even, has anything to do with it. In contempt of court because you're recording outside of a trial venue. My God. How stupid can you be as a system when you get to the point where a person can't even conduct basic journalism? Then they'll say, well, over there in the United States, you've got a tax on the free press. Yes, because we've got mean tweets at people at CNN. That's certainly the same as a judge being able to unilaterally muzzle an entire story for days at a time. There's no equivalency whatsoever. I can go to any court in this land, criminal court, civil court, whatever. I can whip out a smartphone and I can record whoever I want. I don't need anybody's goddamn permission. Nobody's going to do a fucking thing about it. The police don't care. The judges don't care. Lawyers don't care. Nobody cares. If the defendant or plaintiff or whoever it is doesn't want to be seen, they put a piece of paper up near their head, or they huddle behind their lawyer or put a coat over their head or something. It's a long-honored tradition. It has never caused any problem with a proper trial in the United States. Why is it suddenly a problem for the British? Why is it that you have a problem delivering a fair trial if you see the face of a person before a jury is convened? It doesn't make any sense. It's total nonsense. It's bullshit is what it is. It's an excuse. How many times do they actually charge people, by the way, for that? Is Tommy Robinson one of the only people in the last however many years who's been charged under this? Probably. I bet anything you can't find many other examples of this happening. And it's not because, oh, that ruffian Tommy Robinson just doesn't understand when not to record things. Now, it has nothing to do with that. Other people probably do it all the time. They just don't get charged. Differential justice. A clear-cut sign of tyranny. That's what you have in the UK. You have a tyrannical system with a bunch of moron judges who don't really know what they're doing and are foppish, and they like to wear their wigs and get their high salaries, and they get off on exercising power because that's also a time-honored British tradition of throwing your weight around and getting a big dick about things while calling Americans egotistical, of course. We're terribly egotistical. But, I can actually go and record these things. Here's how you get in trouble for recording stuff at a trial venue in the United States. You get physical with people, you start being disorderly and hurling insults at people, or you stand in their way and you're providing a public nuisance. But if I'm standing off to the side on the grass recording, I can do that all day. I don't have to have permission. Public property, I can do whatever the goddamn hell I want. As long as I'm not as long as I'm, recording and doing something and not just loitering, nobody cares. Oh, the Americans have a strange legal system. You can't even record outside of a court because some goofball in a wig said you can't? Yeah, talk about your free press. Yes, you have total free press rights over in the UK. And the thing is, this isn't unique to the UK. There are other European nations that have similar problems. Like is in France, I believe, they can muzzle the press at a moment's notice too. Macron, I believe, fond of that. Germany, what free press? Yeah, right. Yeah, Der Spiegel. Yeah, you mean the Der Spiegel. Weren't they spying on people one time and trying to crack into their phones for getting stories or something? Wasn't that a big scandal? Didn't that happen over there like 10 years ago or something, if I remember correctly? And they were trying to get into the phone of like a murder victim or something? Or I can't remember exactly what the story was. Someone tell me in the comment. But yeah, I mean, Tommy Robinson should be free and clear. He shouldn't be charged with anything. The fact that he's been charged with anything is a farce. Contempt of court. Don't get me started. That's about all. Peace out.